Hi, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Penny Dix. I am an Astro Coach, and I'm going to be taking you through an overview of the month of December from the astrological energies, and then I'll be looking at your individual zodiac signs. If you know your ascendant and your moon sign, check those out too, because that'll give you a lot broader understanding of what you can expect for the month of December. If you want to leap ahead straight away to your particular zodiac sign, go to the description box underneath the video and a menu will drop down and you can just click on the link to the sign that you want to hear about. Okay, so with no further ado, let's get on. So after a roller coaster year of twists and turns and unexpected events that we could not have written the script for, but I'm sure somebody will, let's watch for that film coming out. And the sun is in Sagittarius when we start the month, and Mercury joins Sagittarius on the 2nd, bringing an ability to communicate on a deeper and actually higher level, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So Jupiter brings expansion and an ability to connect with those kind of higher energies and higher vibrations that our kind of higher self can connect with. And so it's a time to kind of focus on the bigger picture and how we can do things and think of things to start anew, which can really help the collective. Because on the 14th, we have a total solar eclipse new moon in Sagittarius. Let's look at the science of that first. Now, the sun is shining on the earth, and the earth is spinning round and going round the sun, and the moon is spinning round the earth. Now, when a new moon and a total solar eclipse happens, the moon has got in the way of the sun and the earth. So what does this mean symbolically? The sun is masculine. The moon is feminine. The earth is a mix of the two. Now, I think that an eclipse, when you have the moon coming in between the sun and the earth, it's like it's asking us to just pause, to just think about that feminine side of ourselves. And it doesn't matter what sex you are, we all have an ability to connect with that feminine energy. And I think this solar eclipse is really inviting us to connect with that feminine energy that is blocking out the light of the sun, which can be too direct, too potent, and can scar the earth, can scorch the earth. And the moon is saying, let's be gentle about this. How can we do things in a new way? Because of course it's a new moon. So you need to think on an individual level, what can you do using the symbolism of Jupiter's Sagittarius? You know, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So this energy of connecting with your higher self. What can you do to raise your consciousness? What can you do collectively to raise the consciousness of the planet that would really help to heal the earth? Because, you know, the sun is also about health and healing. And I think the feminine is coming in and saying, whoa, just slow down, everybody. What do we need to do to actually bring some healing in here? So that's quite a little deep look at what I think this particular solar eclipse is about. And I will go into it in more depth when I do my live broadcast for the solar eclipse on YouTube on the 14th. Now, let's just have a look at what else is going on this month, because there is a lot happening. On the 16th, Venus also moves into Sagittarius. So she brings our ability to actually bring some abundance and some, I think, an abundance of good feeling. So I think this solar eclipse is bringing in hope. And we have to remember, like with Pandora's box, and it's a bit as if at the beginning of this year, somebody opened Pandora's box and all the furies, the disease, the pestilence, the war, the fire, the tragedy, all flew out. But remember that hope also flew out of Pandora's box. And I think this month is about getting us back in touch with that energy. So now moving on, we have some significant other events happening because two of the big boys, one of them being Jupiter that I've just been talking about, the other one being Saturn, who have been living in the house of Capricorn for so long and have caused the restriction, the isolation, the lockdowns that we've all experienced. They are finally, middle of the month, namely on the 18th Saturn and on the 20th Jupiter, moving finally out of Capricorn and into the sign of Aquarius. So what does this mean? Because they do actually come together in a kind of fanfare of a glorious conjunction on the 22nd. Let's again look at the symbolism. Saturn. Saturn restricts and says, slow down. Not yet. We may be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, which we've had from the new moon solar eclipse. And Jupiter is saying, but come on, let's go for it. Let's just really kind of grow and expand and take these opportunities to develop a new world. Because, you know, if you think of the symbolism of Aquarius, which is very much, again, about higher-minded stuff and the collective, and, you know, there's the famous song about the dawning of the age of Aquarius. So there is something, again, very hopeful coming in, I feel, with this shift of that energy out of Capricorn, which is so solid, so fixed. I mean, Aquarius is a fixed sign as well. And Saturn in Aquarius can also represent a kind of restriction and isolation. But I think we know that whatever unfolds in the next few months, we are not going to be able to change things and go back to how things were in 2019 just overnight. And I doubt that things will ever go back completely to what they were in 2019, but that might not be a bad thing. And it might actually be better for us, because I think what the symbolism of Saturn and Jupiter moving into Aquarius brings some opportunity. So Jupiter is giving Saturn opportunity to restructure the way we live, restructure the way we run the planet, because we really do need, as I know a lot of you feel, to start paying attention more to what we do to the earth. Think back to what I was just saying about the solar lunar eclipse, because the sun's light is blocked out by the moon, so things on earth can't grow. And, you know, what has been stunted, what growth has been stunted? We know it's happened in the economy, in people's lives, in people's jobs, in people's health, in people's relationships, in every area of their life. So I do feel these are good symbols that we can take with us into 2021. Now, just finally, before I come on to your individual signs, I just want to mention that there's a full moon on the 30th of December, just before New Year, and it's in Cancer. And again, Cancer is about care, love, it's feminine energy, it's ruled by the moon, so the moon is very comfortable when she's in her home sign of Cancer. And so I feel it's bringing in more loving, and I think it's bringing in more of an ability for perhaps the collective to toughen up a bit, but still have the compassion and the empathy, but actually I think to grow up, because in this year of such amazing unrest and change, one of the things I think we've had to realise is that the old ways don't serve us, that instant gratification and me first really does not work anymore. And that somehow for me this full moon in Cancer is saying, toughen up everybody, we can all do this, we can all change, we can all turn all the events of this year to our advantage. So I'll just leave you to think about that, because 2021 is going to be a much different year. There will still be the challenges. It'll be different. But I think we will actually end 2021 in a far better place than perhaps we can envisage now. So now, with no further ado, I will say thank you so much for joining me for this rather lengthy description for the overview of the month of December. I'd like to say thank you to all of you that have subscribed to my YouTube channel so far. I'm really super grateful. Thank you so much. It's really, really super helpful. And if you haven't and would like to, I'd really like that too. And then you'll get to see all the time when I'm putting new stuff up. And what else can I say? If you would like to have a one-to-one with me for astro coaching, then my website is just down here or down here. I can never remember. There's one side. And you can contact me on that. And it would be really, really lovely to connect with you. So thank you so much for joining me. I wish you a blissful Christmas. Make the most of it, and a very happy, healthy, wealthy and prosperous new year. Hi Aries, and welcome to the overview of the astrological energies for you for the month of December. And if you have an ascendant in Aries or a moon in Aries, check those out too. So let's see what's happening for you. Mars, of course, is now direct in your home sign, in your first house. And this is giving you a lot of energy and a lot more encouragement and sense of adventure for what can unfold next year. And with the emphasis at the beginning of the month in the sign of Sagittarius, which is your 9th house. Now this is all about travel, higher learning, things at a distance. And we also have Mercury there. Venus is there on the 16th, so there is a lot of activity. Mercury is bringing a lot of communication and news coming from people at a distance, whilst Venus is bringing in a sense of ideas and beauty and reflection on how you can plan perhaps a really lovely journey next year. And you also have a total solar eclipse, a new moon total solar eclipse on the 14th in your 9th house of travel and higher learning, Sagittarius. So this is going to be really helpful too. But with one little caveat, because we have to remember that an eclipse means the sun's light is blocked by the moon. So the moon is in the way of the sun. And for me, the symbolism of this is that you've really got to move a little bit out of your Mars energy, your masculine get up and go, and just embrace some of the feminine side of your nature, which will give you the intuitive gut feelings about the best way to proceed this month, especially if it does involve long distance travel, because I don't think realistically this is going to happen astrologically for you till next year, but there's nothing wrong with planning it at the moment. And I think you'll find you'll have the funds, courtesy of Venus, available for that. So let's just move on and see what else is happening this month, because there is also a difficult square, which is a hard angle, a sort of tense angle from Mars, your ruler, to Pluto in Capricorn in your 10th house of career. And for me, this means that you're about to sort of throw in the towel, perhaps, with a particular career path, a sort of, that there could be something you just think, well, I've had enough of this. I'm leaving this job, or I'm going to completely change direction in my career. And it'll come through some kind of inner promptings of your psyche that are actually showing you that there is so much more that you could achieve, and that perhaps you've been going down the wrong road and not honouring that deeper part of yourself that knows you are capable of so much more, especially because of your 11th house, Aquarius, which is the house of hopes, wishes and dreams, because on the 18th, Saturn, which has been residing in your house of career, Capricorn, for the last 2.5 years roughly, is going to move in on the 18th into Aquarius. Now, also, a couple of days later, so does Jupiter. And Jupiter is our planet of expansion and luck. Now, what are they going to represent for you in this part of your chart? Well, as I say, the 11th house is about hopes and wishes. It can be about extended groups of people. You know, if you use that energy from the 9th house about teaching, it could be turning your skills more into perhaps teaching larger groups of people. Because it's Aquarius, it's very much about Uranian energy, which is about things online. So it could be about, you know, Zoom workshops. And, you know, because there is still the restrictions which are going to be in place, I think, still into the new year, you know, in spite of the changes that are coming, there are going to have to be different ways to work. And you know what, Aries, you might actually find that more convenient. But Saturn and Jupiter do join forces on the 22nd in Aquarius in your 11th house. Now that's super exciting for you because Jupiter brings in his luck and opportunity and expansion. Saturn is bringing stability, I feel, at this point. So that some ideas that you've had on that back burner, bubbling away in your sort of saucepan of ideas, are ready perhaps to start maturing and bearing fruit. So only you will know what they are, Aries, but, you know, I'd really look at those things for yourself. Let's just move on to what's happening for you around the festive season, the holiday season of Christmas, because I think it's going to be a fairly quiet and peaceful time for you, Aries. I suspect you will want to have fun and have a kind of party atmosphere at home, which you will be good at doing. I just have a feeling you've just got to watch your health a bit on that day, because the asteroid Hygeia is nestling down there in Leo, and that's your 5th house. And I just think that that's telling me, just don't overindulge too much, or you'll be waking up on Boxing morning with quite a headache. So moving on to the end of the month, we have a full moon in Cancer, and that's going to be in the area of your chart connected with your home, and that's on the 30th, and this is just before New Year. And I wonder if you're going to be making some decisions about living space or living accommodation, either moving to a new place or changing your residence, or selling something or buying something or renting something new or letting a rental go. But there will be some decision, I feel, around the time of the end of the year for you to do with where you're living in your home space. It may also be that there are some decisions that have to be made about family members, and it may be something to do with an elderly relative that maybe needs more care and attention, and how to kind of address that. But all in all, Aries, I think you will end the year on a much more positive note, feeling much more hopeful about the future. And I think 2021 is going to be a much more interesting year for you, when you can start doing that cardinal thing that you love doing and really initiating your ideas and plans. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me, Aries. And also, if you would like to have a one-to-one with me for life coaching, astrology coaching, astro coaching, what do I do? My website is just here at the bottom of the video. And also, thank you to those of you that have joined my YouTube channel. I'm really super grateful. And if you haven't and would like to, I'd really like that too. That would be very kind. Thank you. And in the meantime, I wish you a very happy, prosperous and healthy 2021. Bye for now. Hi Taurus, and welcome to your astrological overview for the month of December, and that's for the Sun in Taurus, the Ascendant in Taurus, or the Moon in Taurus. Okay Taurus, so let's have a look. What's happening for you this month? Well, there's a lot of emphasis on your 8th house this month, which is Sagittarius. Now the 8th house is very much about transformation. It's also about other people's money. It can also be personal transformation as well as helping others transform. And we have Mercury going into Sagittarius on the 2nd, and then Venus moves in there on the 16th. So there is quite a lot of interesting energy in this area. Mercury is about communication. I think this is how you communicate with others, and perhaps you'll find you can communicate in a deeper way, especially with people that are very close to you, that you can really actually say how you feel. And I think you may surprise a few people, because I think Uranus in your 1st house of Taurus is kind of unsettling you and really pushing you to change and grow, and something Taurians aren't always very keen on. They like to keep their routine and keep to the status quo. But also on the 14th of this month, we have a new moon total solar eclipse in Sagittarius in your 8th house. Let's see what this means. Now, with a solar eclipse, what we have is the moon moves in between the earth and the sun. And so the moon is blocking out the light of the sun. And really what this means is that I just feel you need to use a little bit more of your sensitivity and feminine intuition to deal with others and others that may be struggling. It can also mean that you're watching people painfully, perhaps in some ways, transform. And how can you help them? How can you actually enable them to kind of come through this very challenging time that we've all been going through, and prepare themselves for the next part of the journey? But also we need to look at what's going on in your 9th house, because you've been hosting there in Capricorn Saturn, Jupiter, Athena, Pluto for a long time. And the big news this month is that both Saturn and Jupiter are going to be moving into your 10th house, Aquarius, your house of career and your status in the world. Now, this is super exciting, actually, because Saturn is going to bring structure for you. He's going to bring discipline to the way you work. And I suspect while these boys have been in your 9th house, you've come up with new ideas about how you want to work. You've actually thought outside of the box. And some of you may have even embarked on new careers, etc. Now, Saturn is going to bring this kind of, as I say, feeling of structure, discipline and stability to this area. It's like you're working on something that will take you into the long term. And it's like the saying, slow and steady wins the race. And you know, Taurus, if you just keep putting one foot in front of another, you can actually get there to where it is you're going. Now, Jupiter joins Saturn in Aquarius on the 22nd. And in this glorious conjunction they're going to have in your house of career and direction in life. And it's right conjunct your midheaven. And that is super exciting, because you're being given an opportunity to really show, I think, the world in the career or life of your choice, that you know, your passion. You're being able to sort of express yourself in a way to the world that is going to surprise a lot of people and bring you some opportunities that you had never envisaged could actually come. And this is really possibly going to put you in the public eye. Now, it depends what line of work you're in. Even if it's just whether you're part of a company or you have your own business, it's certainly going to push you to the forefront. People are going to be noticing you, Taurus. And you're going to have this energy of Jupiter in this area of your chart, bringing luck, opportunity, expansion, exhaustion if you don't pace yourself, right up until next March. So, use that energy wisely. Saturn is going to be here for another about 2.5 years. So you will have that stability and the ability to actually think of the long term and how you build your empire. So very exciting, Taurus. One little thing I want to say is watch out. There's a square from Mars to Pluto in your 9th house of travel on the 22nd, 23rd. Now, Mars in Aries is living in your 12th house about the inner you and where you feel restricted. And Pluto is about transformation. Now, this hard angle tells me that there's something about this that you've got to be careful you don't lose your temper. You don't just, when Taurus blows, Taurus really is the proverbial bull in the china shop, and nothing stays intact. So Taurus, be patient with perhaps those around you that can't see your bigger vision. Because somehow I think while Pluto is going through this 9th house area of your chart, he is showing you a bigger vision. So be patient with yourself, Taurus, and be patient with others that can't see this big picture that you can see. That's for you to work on in your 10th house. But next, I just want to go on to, let's see what's happening for you on Christmas Day. Because, we know this year is going to be a rather sort of alternative Christmas for many people. And I think for you, it's going to be, I think you're going to be paying attention to the detail of everything. And if you're entertaining at home to, a small select few, that may be select friends or select family. It depends on your own personal circumstances. I think you're going to be wanting to make it a really memorable day, even if it can't be the grand adventure or grand kind of experience that it can normally be. And then we come towards the end of the year, because on the 30th, just before New Year's Eve, we have a full moon in Cancer. And this is going to be in your 3rd house of communication. Now, I feel this is kind of setting the tone for what you can expect to come in the sort of the beginning part of 2021. Now, Cancer is very much about care, nurturing, and it's about love and security and also about empathy. And this is your house of communication and communicating at a short distance. So people who are sort of neighbours that you're close to. And I think this full moon shows me that you're going to be, whereas you can sometimes be a bit short-tempered and get irritable around people that just don't see things the way you see them, you're going to have more compassion. And I think if you can become aware of that and actually use that energy in a constructive way, it's actually going to really set the scene, and people are going to sort of experience a much kinder and more compassionate side to your Taurian nature than they have perhaps seen. So on that note, I want to wish you a very happy new year, a happy holiday season, and a happy Christmas. And I wish you peace, health, that's most important. Without health, we can't have all the other things. So health, wealth, prosperity, happiness, and a brilliant 2021, which I will start talking about in the next videos. Now, I'd also like to say thank you very much for coming to watch me on my YouTube channel. And if you would like to subscribe, I would really love that. That would be super kind. Lovely Christmas gift for me, actually. So thank you in advance for any of you that choose to do that. And Also, if you would like to have a one-to-one with me for astro coaching, my website is just in the bottom of the video here. And in the meantime, what can I say but have a great December, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you. Hi Gemini, and welcome to your December astrological overview for the Sun in Gemini, the Ascendant, or the Moon in Gemini. Well, the focus this month starts off in your 7th house of significant relationships. And if you're currently single, you may not be by the end of the month, because it's giving you some good opportunities this month to actually change that status. Now, why is this? And what about for those of you that do have a very significant and long-term partner? Well, let's have a look. It's Sagittarius, and we have the Sun bringing her lovely light and health and wealth into this area of your chart at the beginning of the month. And it's always here, of course, for you at this time of December. And also Mercury, the planet of communication, moves in here on the 2nd. So there's certainly going to be, and remember, Mercury is your ruling planet. So you're certainly going to be having some very deep and interesting conversations with your nearest and dearest. Venus also comes in to bring her loving relationship, attraction, and just opportunity for relating to be so much more than it has been. And she moves in here on the 16th. But just before that, on the 14th, we have a total solar eclipse, new moon. Now, this is really super exciting. We have to actually think what this means, because this is to do, as I said, with your relationship area. Now, as I said, if you're single and looking, this eclipse could bring opportunities for that to change. And it may be just something quite unexpected that you never would have thought of. And if you're in a significant relationship already, I do think you're going to be thinking about changing things. Maybe you don't live together currently. Maybe that's going to change for 2021. Maybe you're making all sorts of different plans. Maybe you're deciding to make the relationship more permanent, to get married. You know, people still do get married nowadays. And so this is a nice way to sort of, or a nice energy to have this December. But let's also look at what else is happening, because I want to look at what's happening around about the 22nd, 23rd of December, which of course is just coming up to Christmas, because there's quite a tough angle from Mars in Aries in your 11th house of hopes and wishes and dreams to Pluto, who is in your 8th house, Capricorn. Now, the 8th house is very much about transformation, and Pluto is about transformation. Now, I know you like to communicate and you like to say what you think and what you feel, Gemini, but I just think you need to be a little bit sensitive around that time, because you may be trying to encourage others to grow and transform and see things the way you do, and maybe they're just not ready for that, and they may get quite shirty with you and just not very happy. But let's move on to actually the bigger news of the month, which is about Saturn and Jupiter. In your 8th house, they've been there for quite a while, Capricorn. Now, Saturn on the 18th finally moves into Aquarius, your 9th house. And a few days later, on the 20th, Jupiter follows suit. And they join together in a lovely conjunction on the 22nd. Now, let's see what this means. Well, Aquarius in your 9th house, this is this part of you that really wants to expand your mind and, you know, communicate at higher levels. You know, Gemini, you are a very friendly soul, and you do like to sort of talk to people. And I think Saturn is going to give you some stability and seriousness to the subjects that you want to talk about. Maybe you'll decide to actually learn something more so that you have more evidence to back up some of the ideas that you have. Jupiter's going to be in this part of your chart until next March, and I think he will bring some opportunities for some travel or some plans for travel for 2021, as hopefully we will start to see the skies and the seaways opening up. And this conjunction, I think, as they join forces in your 11th house, is giving you a wonderful opportunity to think, how can I use this energy? What would I really like to do? What would I like to learn? What else could I do with my life? If you don't have a particular hobby or passion, and if working has been difficult because of the restrictions of 2020, what could you bring into your sort of spare time that you could actually learn and become quite an expert at? Because I think this conjunction is giving you the opportunity to do that, Gemini. Now, I think Christmas Day for you is going to be, like for all of us, not as jolly a fair as we've all sort of hoped for, but I think it will be full of kind of joie de vivre and a few raised glasses of happy cheer for the next year. And then looking a little bit further ahead to the end of the year, because on the 30th, we have a full moon in Cancer. And this is in your house of finance. Now, that's super exciting, because if finance has been a little bit sort of restricted lately, or because you've had the big boys, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, in your 8th house, opposite this, so there may have been funds that have been withheld from you, or funds you can't access, and now that Saturn and Jupiter have both moved out of this area of your chart, then I think this full moon sees a lifting of restrictions for you, and a chance to perhaps, what I want to say is, you may be thinking about spending some money on property and actually sort of, giving it a bit of a spring clean. And you may even be deciding to sell a property or to buy something, but there'll be something of that nature going on. It may just be some more opportunities to sort of, fill up your coffers of gold, your pots of gold. So on that note, Gemini, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me for this December overview for you. I would like to wish you a very happy holiday season, a happy Christmas, a very happy new year. I wish you more than anything good health, because without that, it's difficult for the wealth, the prosperity and the success to follow. And if you have already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I want to say thank you so much. If not, and you would like to, that would also be absolutely super lovely for you to do that. If you would like to have my whole list of things I go through, if you would like to have a one-to-one with me for astro coaching, my website address is just here at the bottom of the video. And in the meantime, I'd like to wish you a great month and a happy new year, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much, Gemini. Bye for now. Hi, Cancer. Welcome to your astrological overview for the month of December. For the Sun in Cancer, the Ascendant in Cancer, or for the Moon in Cancer. This month, with the Sun in Sagittarius, as it always is at this time of year, is in your 6th house of health, co-workers, day-to-day routine, and a few other things. So this is where the emphasis of your life has the light being shone on it this month. And you probably noticed that every year at this time of year, that this is the area that is highlighted. Now, the difference this year is that we have Mercury moving in there on the 2nd. This is the planet of communication. So if you've had any difficulties communicating with co-workers, actually that's going to get a lot easier, especially because Venus is going to be there as well from the 16th. And she will bring in her influence of being able to relate in a good way and put your point across in a good way. So you're actually going to be quite eloquent this month, Cancer. Now on the 14th, we do have a total solar eclipse new moon, also in this area of your chart, Sagittarius. And so this for me also brings this into very much the forefront. First of all, I want to talk about health issues, because I think if you've been neglecting any niggling health issues, then this solar eclipse is saying don't. Warning signs are there for a reason. So if you have any unusual or new aches or pains or just symptoms that haven't been there before, don't neglect them. Get them sorted out and nip them in the bud. Also, I think it's about new ways and new innovative ways to do your working life. So it may be that you do come up with some new ideas that you can do with regard to the other people that you work with, of just how to structure and schedule things in a slightly more efficient way. So that's going to be really super helpful for you. But we need to really look at the big news for you actually this month, Cancer, is all about your 7th house Capricorn. You have been hosting the big boys, Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto, also the asteroid Athena, and she is about balance and justice and being fair. And you've had this energy in your 7th house for a long time. Pluto has been there for quite a few years. Saturn has been there for over 2 years, and Jupiter has been there for a little less than that. Now, the big news is that they're going to be, both Saturn and Jupiter are leaving this area of your chart to go into your 8th house, Aquarius. Now, Saturn leaves on the 18th and is soon joined by Jupiter on the 20th. And by the 22nd, they come together in a wonderful conjunction in Aquarius in your 8th house. So what does this mean? Saturn is about putting down roots and stability and structure and security. And Jupiter expands. It also brings opportunity and luck. Now, Aquarius, of course, is about higher-minded thinking. It can be about the internet, because it's ruled by Uranus, which is about electricity and sort of the web. So you'll have to sort of sort out from what I'm saying, what areas this kind of clicks for you as to how you may need to change the way you work, for example. Now, also, it can be other people's money and investments. Also, because it's the house of transformation, it can mean that in some way there may be situations where some doors are closing and you may have sadness about the doors that have closed in your life recently. But remember that there's always another window that opens. A small window will open and there'll be a way to find a different door that will take you into new and uncharted waters. Jupiter, while he's going through this house, is going to bring opportunities for expansion and for your own personal transformation, and for you perhaps to connect with the bigger picture and just see things in a way that perhaps you haven't done before. So what else is happening for you this month, Cancer? Well, we need to look out for a rather sharp angle on the around the 22nd, 23rd from Mars to Pluto. Mars in Aries in your house of career and your kind of public persona means maybe a dear one, a close personal relationship is finding the amount of work you do too much, and they are saying, what about me? I need some attention. And you may be a bit frustrated about this, but you know what? I think you just have to take a step back, Cancer. Because remember, you are a Cancerian and you are the moon and you are about caring. And even though you don't always show this deep kind of sensitive, empathic side to your nature, it is there. And when people take the chance to go inside. You know, if you have crosswords, it's only because you care and because you're actually protecting yourself. Now that brings me on to the 30th, the full moon, because this is a full moon in Cancer in your first house, your sign. This is really lovely for you, Cancer. This is going to be like a breath of fresh air. This is giving you an opportunity to start afresh with a lot of close personal relationships. Because remember, it brings in the energy of the sun that is now in Capricorn in your 7th house. And so I think it's giving you an opportunity to acknowledge and let go of things that no longer serve you, and that perhaps ways of relating that no longer serve you. There may be people that have had to leave your life for whatever reason in the last year. And this is about, I think, finally coming to some kind of acceptance about that, and an understanding and an ability to connect and see the bigger picture. So in all, I think the festive season, the holiday season of Christmas and the New Year are going to be quite deep and thought-provoking for you. I think they could be quite transformational. I think it is going to be good for relating. I actually think you're going to feel closer and more in love, if that's possible, with the people that you do really love and care about. That's going to be much, much more prominent. And so it puts a lovely tone onto the whole of the holiday season, whereby you're able to show those that you love, if you've not been able to in the ways that you would like to, that you do really care. In the meantime, I would like to thank you very much for coming to watch this December astrology for you for the sign of Cancer, and to thank you if you signed up already for my YouTube channel, and if not, and you would like to, I'd like that too. That would be really lovely. Thank you in advance. Also, I'd like to wish you a very happy, healthy, prosperous and peaceful and wealthy new year. And without the health, we can't really have the other things. I'd also like to say, if you would like to have an astro coaching one-to-one session with me, my website is just in the lower hand side here of the video, and you can contact me via that. And in the meantime, what can I say? Have a fabulous holiday season, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Hi, Leo. Welcome to your astrological overview for the month of December, for the Sun in Leo, the Ascendant in Leo, or the Moon in Leo. Well, let's see. The emphasis this month is actually both on your 5th, 6th, and 7th house. The 5th house for you is Sagittarius, and the 5th house is all about creativity. It's about projects, it's about children. It can also be love affairs and friends and anything of that nature that brings you into a joie de vivre with life. Now, the sun is here, as it always is at this time of year, and Mercury goes into Sagittarius and your 5th house on the 2nd. And then a little later, so does Venus on the 16th. Now, Mercury means that you're going to be having a lot to talk about with friends and loved ones. And I think you're going to have be brimming with ideas of projects that you want to set in place. And Venus is bringing in this sense of really quite nice feeling of attraction. And I feel probably some romance or people flirting. It's got a nice vibe to it, Leo. But the big news is that on December the 14th, there is a new moon total solar eclipse. Now that's super exciting because it is also in your 5th house of Sagittarius. Now, this is a great indicator for you to launch or start a new project, knowing that it might cause some quite big changes, or that it might take a while to initiate because it's an eclipse, so the sun's light is blocked out from the earth by the moon. But, you know, the moon is the feminine. And I think here it's about, Leo, you getting in touch with your feminine instincts, your intuition. And if you feel something is really right to do, then I think you should go ahead and do it. Also, I think this solar eclipse could bring some quite nice romance into your life if things have been a bit dead or dull in that area. And that's also going to be the theme that's going to change next year, because that brings me on to the next excitement in your chart for December, which is about your 6th house Capricorn. And you have had here, you've had Pluto for quite a few years now. You've also had Saturn for nearly 3 years, and Jupiter has been there for a shorter time. Now, this is the area of your life to do with health, to do with day-to-day work, to do with employees, pets, anything of that nature. And I think it's been really quite hard going. You've probably had some good breakthroughs with maybe, you know, new ideas for the way you work, and kind of refining and putting structure in. Saturn will have given you that opportunity to put some structure into your working life. But also you've probably had some niggling health issues which just haven't gone away. And I think there's two ways to look at this, Leo, because on one side, you may have had health issues that have slowed you down, especially this year, and especially with Jupiter there, which tends to expand everything. So I think it's been a little bit like walking through treacle for you. And I think what it means is you have to do something too, Leo. You can't just sit back and think, oh, well, when they leave my sign, I won't have to worry about health. No, it doesn't work that way. This is actually, you have to help what Saturn is trying to help you with. I think Saturn is trying to suggest to you a better way, a better health regime for yourself, whether that involves a different form of exercise. And that can be for the mind as well, because, you know, it's also about, it brings in the energy of your 12th house. And so for me, that's about, you know, going within and meditating and just having time out from everything. It's not always about the outer world. Sometimes it's about the inner world. But let me come on to the big news, because Saturn on the 18th of December finally leaves this part of your chart and goes into your 7th house, Aquarius, which is all about relationships, and very important relationships. Jupiter, our planet of expansion, catches up pretty quick. In fact, by the 22nd, he and Saturn are together in union conjunct in your 7th house of Aquarius. And the emphasis certainly between now and March is going to be very much on relationships, and whether you have someone in your life or not, things are going to significantly change. If there's someone important in your life that perhaps things haven't been as kind of, haven't panned out the way that you would like them, then maybe you'll be addressing this and looking at a way to make it more permanent. And I think with Jupiter there, it really brings a lovely element of luck and opportunity. Now, Jupiter's going to be there till next March, so make the most of Jupiter going through this part of your chart. And also, Saturn, as it traverses your 7th house, which will take approximately 2.5 years, is going to give you a lot of opportunity to really kind of look at the significant relationships in your life, because we usually have more than one, in terms of it's not necessarily just our nearest and dearest husband, partner, girlfriend, wife, whatever. It's actually, you know, people that, you know, it can be very close friends. But the nature of these relationships are going to change. They're going to undergo quite a massive shift while Saturn, you know, keeps himself in this sign, your 7th house. So be prepared to go with the flow. Saturn can be quite structured, so it's difficult to get flexibility into that. But there will be other aspects along the way as we go through next year where maybe some quite surprising events could take place that help you, maybe make some more permanent plans with a nearest and dearest. So let's see what else we've got going on this month, because it is a super packed month. Well, I think we need to also just quickly look at the Mars-Pluto square, which happens around the 22nd, 23rd. So this is at the same time that Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct in your 7th house. So Mars is in your 9th house of travel, higher learning. It could also be people at a distance. And there's something about this harsh angle that Mars is going to be making to Pluto, still in your 6th house, Capricorn. And I think this is about you having to, perhaps in a sense, recognize that you could transform the way you connect with people at a distance. We've all had to think outside the box this year on how we maintain maybe relationships where we haven't been able to connect with people that are important to us. And so I think Pluto is saying to Mars that he's all ready to just sort of go gung-ho and let's, find a different way. But Pluto's saying, look, you can transform it, you can change it. It can work. But now let's look at the holiday season for you. Because of course, for you, the holiday season is a time for you to shine. You do like to be centre stage, Leo. And you may have a much smaller audience this year because of the restrictions. But I don't think it's going to stop you enjoying yourself. And I think actually the whole month of December is going to feel much lighter and much more fun for you. I think there is an air of festivity around the month of December for you. And also we come finally to the full moon on the 30th in Cancer, which is in your 12th house. So of course, this is still going to bring in the energy of Pluto that is still residing in this area of your chart. And, I think this is about you transforming on an inner level, because the full moon is about some kind of realization, some kind of conclusion or understanding, or just a different way of seeing things. So that I feel that you finish this year with a different vision for the future, and that perhaps things you hadn't thought were possible, you now begin to think, well, actually, maybe I could do it this way. So I'm going to leave you on that note, because I think there are questions you need to ask yourself, Leo, about how you want 2021 to be for you, because it could be really super exciting for you. And I'd like to say thank you so much for coming to watch this video. And if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd be super thrilled if you could do that. That would really mean a lot. If you have already, thank you so much. I really appreciate. And also, if you would like to have a one-to-one for astro coaching, you can connect with me at my website address down here. And it would be lovely to connect with you. In the meantime, I want to wish you a very happy, healthy, wealthy, prosperous, and exciting, but in a good way, new year. And till next time, Leo, take care. God bless. Bye. Hi, Virgo, and welcome to your December astrological overview. And this is for the Sun in Virgo, the Ascendant in Virgo, or for the Moon in Virgo. So let's have a look. The emphasis this month starts off in Sagittarius in your 4th house. And this is the area of your chart connected with your home and your family. Mercury also starts the month here. And so Mercury is going to bring a lot of quite kind of vibrant chatting and conversation with family members. And maybe it's deciding what's going to happen for the Christmas festivities and the holiday season. Venus also comes into this area of your chart on the 16th. And Venus's presence in the 4th house, I think sometimes means we want to do a little bit of spring cleaning and kind of, maybe it's just putting up some Christmas decorations and trying to make the place feel a lot more homely, comfortable and cheerful. But the other really interesting part of this is that on the 14th of December, we do have a new moon total solar eclipse in this part of your chart, in Sagittarius. So what does this mean? Well, a new moon is about new beginnings and new opportunities. So there may be something here that you're thinking, maybe you're thinking of relocating. I think the fact that it's eclipsed, so it means that the moon is in between the sun and the earth, may mean that you're not quite sure about the timing, but you may be thinking about these plans of what you would actually like to bring into play and what could change in a sort of how you live, your whole kind of living environment. So there's definitely something of that nature around. But what else is going on this month? Because the next big set of news is the fact that the 5th house, Capricorn, which has been hosting Pluto for quite a long time, Jupiter and Saturn, these two big boys, Jupiter and Saturn, are about to leave this sector of your chart and move into your 6th house of Aquarius. Let's unpack this. Now, Capricorn in your 5th house. The 5th house is about creativity, projects, children. It can also be sort of romantic relationships and having fun with friends. But Capricorn is quite, is quite sort of stern and serious. And you have had a lot of seriousness in this area of your life. There may be projects you've been working on that have taken up a lot of your time. And I think the presence of Saturn has enabled you to put some structure into it and some discipline to really enable this project to take off, especially with the presence of Jupiter there, which will have also brought in probably some lucky ideas and ways of innovative ways of progressing forwards. Now, Saturn leaves this part of your chart on the 18th and goes into your 6th house of Aquarius. Jupiter follows suit on the 20th into Aquarius, and the two of them have a grand conjunction on the 22nd in Aquarius in your 6th house. Now, they're really making a big kind of announcement. They are arriving in this sector of your chart. So what's it mean for you? Well, the 6th house is very much about day-to-day routines. It's also about work, colleagues, employees. It can also be about health. Now, the drawback with Saturn going into this area is that you may find you get slowed down a bit. And if you don't kind of take the time out to make sure your batteries are properly charged, Saturn always has a way to present us with an event that will slow us down. So bearing that in mind and to sort of preempt it, Virgo, make sure you do listen to any niggly health conditions that come up. Don't override them. Don't keep pushing yourself when actually you ought to really just slow down and stop and take a break. So that's one thing that Saturn can do. But Saturn can also bring much more discipline to your working life and routine. So that's going to be super helpful. Now, Jupiter as well. Jupiter expands everything it touches. Now, that can be for good or for not good. And it also brings opportunity and it also brings luck. But sometimes it's like, be careful what you wish for. But I think, we've got this kind of tension between Saturn that's saying, no, not yet, and Jupiter that's saying, no, let's go. And so, Virgo, I think you just have to take heed of what these planets are trying to say to you as they enter this part of your chart, because they are kind of setting the tone for what you can expect for the next couple of years. Although Jupiter is going to move quite swiftly through this part of your chart, and he will actually be moving into your 7th house Pisces round about mid-March. I think he dips back in again and out again, but that's the general nature of what Jupiter does. So listen to the sort of the lessons that Saturn might be giving you, and be as disciplined as you can with your health and with resting. And actually that's your mind as well. Because, you know, Aquarius is very much about, you know, our higher mind, our higher consciousness. If it's saying something to you, listen. I want to move on now to another little aspect that's coming around the same time on the 22nd, 23rd, between Mars and Pluto. And so Pluto's in your 5th house, the planet of transformation. Mars is in your 8th house. Now, it's quite a hard angle. So it may be that there's some sort of restrictions being put on you by maybe older family members, or something to do with other people's money that is making it more difficult for you to do what you want to do, to transform your ideas and projects that have been you've been working so long on and so hard on. So this transit doesn't take long, so don't worry about it. But I just think it's just a little heads up to just reassess everything that you're setting in place. But let's now look at the holiday season for you, Virgo. Well, I think Christmas is probably going to be pretty much like it has been for a long time, because I think it'll be spent with basically members of your family or close friends, or even if you don't have family, then you probably have friends that are family. So there's going to be, I think, quite a nice kind of structured time to your kind of Christmas season. Also, I think we need to look ahead at the end of the year, because we have a full moon in Cancer, which is your 11th house of hopes and wishes, and this is on the 30th. Now, for me, this kind of sets the scene for what you can invite in during 2021. Now, Cancer, as we know, is about the home and it's about family. So that can also be about, you know, just giving our close family and friends the attention, our partners, that they need, and maybe listening more and having more empathy. The full moon is about resolutions and completions. Now, it could also be that you've been working on something that's been a long-held dream, that you finally start to see that it's going to crystallize, and that perhaps in 2021 you can finally launch this project or idea that you've had with the blessing of this full moon. So all in all, Virgo, it is an interesting month for you. Next year is going to be a lot more active and a lot busier. There are still going to be challenges, but we'll come to that as we go along the way. In the meantime, I'd like to wish you a very happy holiday season, a happy Christmas, a happy New Year. I wish you health, wealth, happiness, prosperity. I'd like to say thank you so much for watching me on my YouTube channel. And if you've subscribed, thank you so much. I really appreciate. If you haven't and would like to, I'd really like that too, Virgo. Thank you. Really appreciate. And also, if you would like to have a one-to-one with me for astro coaching, my website address is just here at the bottom of the video. And I think the next time I will see you will be when I do the January astrology videos. And I'd just like to wish you a really, really good start to 2021. Thank you, Virgo. See you next time. Bye for now. Hi, Libra. Welcome to your astrological overview for December. For the Sun in Libra, the ascendant in Libra, or for the moon in Libra. So the emphasis this month starts off in your third house of communication and thinking, also neighbours and short journeys. And it's Sagittarius, and we have Mercury here as we start the month. So I think there's going to be a lot of communication going on and organising things and arranging things. And if there's a little bit of a sort of more relaxed atmosphere in general in the area that you're living in, that you can actually connect a little bit more with friends. And Venus also comes into this sector of your chart on the 16th. So she also brings a nice feeling of, you know, having some really nice times with good friends and really good chats. The other thing that is actually really super important is on the 14th, we have a new moon total solar eclipse in the same area. So you can see there's quite an emphasis on this part of your chart this month. So what does it mean? Well, the sun is life. He is health. He is us. He is the, you know, without him, we don't have life. The moon is the feminine, and the moon is going to be coming between the sun and the earth. And so the sun's light is blocked out by the moon's presence here. I think what it means is that sometimes, Libra, you get so caught up in your intellect and you have a great ability to think quickly and to plan things out and organise things. I think this new moon is saying, just slow down a bit. Why don't you actually start using your feminine intuition? And, you know, you guys, everybody has it as well. You know, across the whole spectrum, we all have an intuitive part of ourselves, which is represented by the moon and by the feminine. And I think what it's saying to me is you need to actually tune into that side of yourself much more. Listen to your gut feeling and think about, am I doing this for me, or am I actually thinking about the collective? And, you know, is this actually what they want? So there's some nature of that. But we need to also look at the second really big news that's happening this month, which is the departure finally of Saturn from Capricorn, who has been in the area of your chart connected with your home life and family for the last approximately 2.5 years. Now, he's going to leave this area on the 18th and move into your 5th house of Aquarius. And soon after that, he is also joined by the other big boy, Jupiter, who is moving also into Aquarius on the 20th. Now, for the past few years, you've had, as I say, the presence of these guys there. And so you would have been doing a lot of thinking and restructuring about accommodation, living arrangements. You may have moved house, you may have bought or sold property, but there certainly will have been some restructuring into your kind of living environment. And with the emphasis shifting off this area and into your 5th house, which is much more about creativity, fun, projects, children, romance, it's a much more free and sort of happy house, if you like. And Saturn is going to bring a little bit of a sobering kind of influence in here. But I think he's also going to give you some stability so that you can see how you can work with maybe other things that you're interested in, you know, hobbies you've got that you may want to make more of or explore more. I think Jupiter coming there is also kind of giving you this opportunity to think outside the box. And how could you actually introduce into your life some hobbies and projects that would stimulate you and actually get you thinking at a rather higher level, a higher kind of vibrational level. I think that could be really good for you, really super good for you, Libra. Now, Saturn is going to be in this area, as I said, for about 2.5 years. Jupiter will whiz through. He'll whiz into Pisces round about March, and then he'll move back again and move out. He'll go retrograde and direct. But for the few months that he's going to be in this sector to start with, really make the most of the opportunities he brings for enjoying fun times with friends. What else have we got going on? Well, I think there might be a bit of a dispute around the 22nd, 23rd, when Mars in Aries in your 8th house of transformation, also other people's money, joint investment, joint finances, it makes a bit of a clash with Pluto that is still going to be residing for quite a long time in the area of your chart, Capricorn, which is about the home and family. And there could be a bit of a dispute about maybe it's money that you can't access or has gone missing, or if you could get hold of it, it would just, you may receive some news that doesn't please you at that time. But don't worry, this is a very short transit, and it won't, don't make a mountain out of a molehill with this one, Libra. Don't fret about it. Don't get anxious about it. It will actually just sort itself out. We need to look at the holiday season. I think Christmas for you is going to be quite an interesting time. I think you're going to have some connections with people that really get you thinking, so that you're going to be thinking thinking outside of the box a bit, Libra. That's my sense for this. And we have a lovely full moon in Cancer in the area of your house, which is connected with your career and your status in life, your public profile. And this full moon, I think, is going to show a much kindlier aspect of you. I think, where sometimes people perhaps can't quite connect with you, Libra, they're going to find it easier, especially in the business world or in whatever your line of work is. I think this is going to soften your approach. We're going to see a softer you emerging in 2021. And, the full moon is about resolutions, completion, endings. There may be a job or a position that you've been holding which will come to an end. I don't think this is to be to be sad about. I think it'll be timely and the right time to move on from whatever that is. And only you will know how that kind of resonates in your own life. But on that note, Libra, I want to really wish you a super holiday season, a happy Christmas, a happy new year. I wish you health, wealth, happiness, prosperity. I'd like to say thank you so much for coming to join me on my YouTube channel. And if you subscribe, thank you. I really, really appreciate. If not, I'd really, really appreciate that too. Also, if you would like a one-to-one with me for astro coaching, my website address is just here at the bottom of the video. And in the meantime, I wish you a really brilliant month, and I look forward to seeing you in 2021. Thank you so much, Libra. Bye for now. Hi, Scorpio, and welcome to your December astrological overview for the Sun in Scorpio, the Ascendant in Scorpio, or for the Moon in Scorpio. I want to start off by looking at what's going on in your second house of finance and possessions, because it's Sagittarius for you, and we have the Sun here, and also Mercury is going to be coming into this sector of your chart at the beginning of the month, and a little later on is joined by Venus. Now, Venus actually rules this house because it's actually, by tradition, in the actual zodiac cycle, it's the second house, so it's a Taurus house. And Venus rules Taurus. So Venus is very comfortable when she comes into this sector of your chart. So I think if there's any money that you're expecting to come to you or is owed to you, or there's anything in connection with maybe joint finances and other people's money, you're actually going to see that kind of coming to some kind of fruition this month, especially because on the 14th, we have a total solar eclipse, new moon, especially in this sign as well. So what does this mean? Well, an eclipse, we have to remember, is that the moon is blocking out the light of the sun. Now, the sun symbolically helps things grow, and the moon is our intuition. You know, I actually think that if you have some uncanny thoughts or feelings about how you could make some extra money, or an investment that you hadn't really thought that you could do, and you know, maybe it's not quite the right time to sort of actually invest some money, but you know, I think you should look into it. If you get a hunch, then actually, Scorpio, I think follow it, because I think this is a time for you of actually starting to save a bit and not just see it going out, because I think that whole side of your life as well is going to improve. Let's see what else we've got going on. We do have a rather tricky square which is a harsh angle, from Mars in Aries in your 6th house to Pluto in your 3rd house of Capricorn and communication. And I think you might find you get a little bit of cross wires, or there'll be something, I think, to do with employees or co-workers, that there's something to do with cross wires about this. Also, if there's been a medical appointment perhaps that you've been wanting to make or have been waiting for, I think Mars is actually saying, you know, you really need to put some pressure on this and get that sorted before things become more than they could be. And let's look at actually what's going on in your 3rd house of Capricorn, because you've been hosting in this area for quite a long time now, both Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn, these lovely big boys. Now, they will have brought some structure, some transformation to this area of your life connected with communication, how you relate to people in your community, your sort of more local kind of side of life. Also, it is about thought and thinking. So you may have come up with quite a lot of innovative ideas, Scorpio, about how you can restructure how you communicate. Now, what's happening is that Saturn, our planet of restriction, structure, discipline, is going to be moving on the 18th into your 4th house of Aquarius. Now, I think this is very significant for Scorpios, and I don't think this is going to happen for all Scorpios. But, you know, when Saturn goes across what we call the IC, which is the bottom of the line down the middle of the chart, it can often mean a big move. It can be a move of house, a move of country, but it usually signifies something quite big. Now, depending obviously on your personal natal chart, will determine if it's going to actually be significant for you, Scorpio, because a lot will depend on your ascendant. But if you've got a Scorpio ascendant, it could actually be highly significant for you, and the degree of that ascendant will determine when this move is likely to perhaps be possible. Now, Saturn then moves, as I said, into Aquarius, and then on the 20th is joined by Jupiter. So now we have both Jupiter and Saturn in this part of your chart, Aquarius, and the home and our family. And Jupiter is also bringing, I think, some luck to the equation, that if there is a move that you've been thinking about doing, a big move, at some point in the future, it's not necessarily immediate, but what it's saying to me is it's blessed. It is well blessed, and if you feel the stirrings in your kind of belly that this is what you should be doing, then I really think you should follow them and follow that intuitive kind of sense of this is what I need to do now. So let's see what else is going on. I think we need to look probably at the holiday season to see how Christmas is going to be for you. Well, I think it's going to be actually quite a nice time. I wonder whether you'll be curling up on the sofa watching a lot of old films or favourite movies with a nice glass of wine and a bag of popcorn or something. But I think it'll be quite a pleasant time. I think because the 5th house for you is a Pisces house, and that's really where I always think of parties and small family gatherings. I think you have to be careful that you don't sort of have too many sherries. Isn't that an old-fashioned term? Because, you know, I can remember grandparents and aunts and uncles all going on about, you know, a little tipple of sherry at Christmas. It's all very different now, as we know, Prosecco and bubbles all the way. So I think Christmas will be quite a nice, pleasant time for you. There's nothing in your chart to suggest that it won't, even if it's limited. Then we come to the full moon in Cancer on the 30th, and this is going to be in the area of your chart, the 9th house, associated with travel, long distance travel, inner travel, thinking outside the box, higher learning. And this full moon, I think, coming at this point in the year for you, Scorpio, is really giving you an opportunity to sort of broaden your horizons, so that even if you can't do the long distance traveling that you would really want to right now, I think you'll be able to see how this is going to become much more possible next year. And that's going to be, I think, really quite important for you. I mean, we've all felt very restricted by the circumstances of 2020. So hopefully in 2021, we are going to see some of those restrictions lifting. And because full moons are about culminations, resolutions, endings, well, I'm just going to say it because it's come into my mind. I just wonder if you are even considering moving country. I don't know where I get that from, but I get these things and they just come in, and I'm going to say them because there's something, or certainly quite a long distance move is quite possible. So if not, it may be that you will take up a new hobby or passion, something you are passionate about, and actually have that sense of fulfillment through learning something and becoming an expert at a subject that you're really passionate about. And that can't be bad. It can't be a bad way to start or progress into next year if that's what you're planning. On that note, Scorpio, I'd like to say thank you so much for coming to watch my YouTube channel. And if you've not subscribed, it would be super cool if you could. If you have subscribed, gosh, thanks ever so much. I really appreciate that. If you would like a one-to-one astro coaching session with me, then my website address is just here underneath the video. And in the meantime, I'd like to wish you a very happy Christmas, a happy holiday season, a peaceful new year, a healthy, wealthy, and, well, let's hope we're wise as well, new year. So on that note, thank you so much, Scorpio, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Hi, Sagittarius, and welcome to your astrological overview for the month of December. And this is for the Sun in Sagittarius, the Ascendant in Sagittarius, or the Moon in Sagittarius. Well, I think you're going to have rather an interesting month, Sagittarius, because there's a lot of activity going on in your sign of Sagittarius. Not only have you got the Sun there, which obviously you always have at this time of year, so happy birthday, Sagittarius, but we have Mercury there from virtually the beginning of the month, so I think you're going to be quite talkative and have quite a lot to say, especially to significant people in your life. On the 16th of December, Venus too moves into this part of your chart, so I think you're also going to be feeling very vibrant, People are going to find you attractive, especially your significant other. And you're just going to feel, I think, full of life through the month of December, which can't be bad. But the big news is we have a new moon, total solar eclipse, also in your sign, and it's on the 14th of December. So that's super cool. Now, what is this going to mean for you? Well, a new moon is about a chance to kind of give birth to a new side of ourselves, especially when it's in our first house. So I think you need to look at perhaps what you've learnt this year, Sagittarius, from all the kind of problems that we've all had to endure and experience this year. And that could be to do with your work, your personal life, your financial life, your, friends. But, it's been a very tough year for everybody. And maybe you've learned a lot about yourself that has surprised you. And this total solar eclipse is really giving you a chance to be born again, to really kind of move into 2021 with some very different and new and innovative ideas of how you can project yourself to the world. I also want to remind you that because it's an eclipse, it means that the moon gets in the way of the sun and the earth. Now, for me, what this means is that you really do need to tune in much more to that feminine, intuitive side of you. And that doesn't matter whether you're male or female, whatever. It's actually terribly important to tune into that intuitive instinct that you have. Because if you use that much more next year, you're going to find that you will start making far better and wiser decisions about your life and your working life. And especially, I think, about your possessions, your finance, because this brings me on to the next part, because your second house, Capricorn, is very much where we're going to see some more action. You've had the big boys there for quite a long time, Pluto for several years, Jupiter's been there for a shorter while, and Saturn has been there for about nearly 3 years, 2.5 years. Now, Saturn is the planet of structure and discipline, so he's probably brought some discipline into how you manage your finance, how you run your home, and hopefully he's helped you save a bit. Jupiter, though, may have cancelled that out a bit at odd times because he just wants to spend and have fun. But he can also bring in abundance. So you may have had some lucky windfalls with Jupiter here. And if you have, how great is that? But what's happening this month is that both Saturn and Jupiter, these two lovely big boys, are going to leave Capricorn finally. And they're going to move into Aquarius. Now, Saturn moves in there on the 18th, and Jupiter follows quite quickly on the 20th. Now, once these two leave that area of your chart to do with finances, I hope you've set in place a lot of longer term ideas of how you manage your finance, because that will really reap benefits and dividends in the future. Now, the third house, Aquarius, is all about communication for you. And, there's this part of you that actually has quite a sort of a deep side to it that people don't often see, because I think you tend to be out there and quite kind of sort of, your Jupiterian nature, you're fun and sparkly and expansive. And, this area of your chart with Saturn there, I think is going to be quite a sobering influence on how you communicate. And that's not a bad thing, because Jupiter also there is going to bring some kind of really beneficial luck to this, that it will really serve you well to find a better way to communicate with maybe people you work with, your family, close friends, that somehow you'll be able to think more outside the box, and that you'll be able to actually give back much more than perhaps you've given in recent times. But let's also look at what else is going on, because we do have a rather challenging angle from Mars mid-month, who is going to be squaring Pluto, still in your second house of finance. And I just wonder if this is to do with a youngster, because the fifth house can be very much about younger people and children. It's also about fun and parties, creative projects, being on the stage, performing, dancing, singing, music. It's all that area. And there's something about this harsh angle to Pluto. It's almost like there's something you really want to do, but that Mars bit of you in the fifth house is saying, no, I can't really justify it at this point. So listen to this part of you that is, you know, as much as you want to sort of transform and change things, mark time and sense when it's actually the better time to set these plans in motion. Let's come on to the holiday season. I think actually you're going to have quite an interesting and fun Christmas time and holiday season. I think it's going to be that you're actually going to be connecting with your nearest and dearest and close family, which is very important to you, Sagittarius. And then we look ahead to the 30th, which is just before, obviously, New Year's Eve, when we have a full moon in Cancer. And this is in your 8th house to do with transformation and other people's money and joint finances, joint investments. So full moons bring about completion, realization, resolutions. So it could be that there's some, maybe you have an investment or a fund that you want to realize, that you actually want to actually get some benefit from. And, you know, why not now? Why not actually start using this money for the ideas and things you have for 2021? So actually, it is a good year for you next year, Sagittarius. I think it's going to be have much more freedom for you, much more excitement. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much for coming to join me for this overview of December for you. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. If you've already subscribed, thank you. I really, really value that. If you haven't and would like to, I'd really like that too. So thank you in advance for that. Also, if you would like a one-to-one astro coaching session with me, my website is just here at the bottom of the video. And in the meantime, I wish you a really happy, peaceful holiday season, new year, health, wealth, happiness, wisdom, peace, all those lovely things that we wish for everybody. And so till next time when I meet you on this channel, thank you so much, Sagittarius, and bye for now. Hi, Capricorn, and welcome to your December astrological overview for the Sun in Capricorn, the Ascendant in Capricorn, or for the Moon in Capricorn. I'm going to start off first of all with looking at your 12th house, which is Sagittarius. Now the 12th house is the part of the chart where we deal with our inner world. It's our psychological development and our deeper understanding of ourselves. And it can sometimes be where we can get lost in fantasy or in not seeing things quite clearly. It's also where we feel restricted or can feel quite imprisoned by maybe thoughts that keep going round and round and we can't sort out. Now, because it's Sagittarius for you, there's actually a part of you that does want to try and strive to get in touch with that kind of higher self of yours, even if you don't always find it very easy. But this month you're going to be helped by Mercury, who's going to be in this part of your chart from the 2nd. Now Mercury will bring a good opportunity for some inner communication. Maybe you pick up a spontaneous self-help book which really resonates with you and helps you get some of those aha moments that sometimes we just don't hear anywhere else. And also Venus is going to come into Sagittarius on the 16th. So you're going to have this lovely energy of Venus, who's going to bring, I think, quite a dreamy and romantic kind of sense of your thoughts and how you're seeing how you've changed. Because, you know, I think people will see that you've changed over the last few years. And I'm going to come on to that in a minute, because what I want to start with, though, is we have a new moon total solar eclipse in Sagittarius in your 12th house on the 14th of December. So what does this mean? Well, let's start with the new moon, because a new moon is about new opportunities and new beginnings. Now, because it's in this area of your chart, I think it's about new opportunities for you to dig deep and find out more about you and how you work. I also think that because it's a total solar eclipse, which means that the moon has passed between the sun and the earth, so the moon is actually blocking out the light of the sun. So the sun, of course, is health, is light, the sun is everything in one sense. The moon is our feminine, it's our intuition, it's our gut feeling. And an eclipse is kind of like where the moon is saying, don't forget to trust your gut instinct. It's not always about what you can see, feel and touch. Sometimes there is more. So I think it's trying to encourage you to think outside of the box where your own psychological development is. Maybe finding new ways to really dig deep and understand yourself better. But of course, a lot of that has been going on because of the presence of the big boys in your sign, in your first house. And my goodness, Capricorn, thank goodness you're the sign that played host to these planets, namely Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn, because I think other signs would have really crumbled under the weight of the pressure. Now, Pluto has given you this amazing ability to transform who you are. And I do believe that people that haven't seen you for a while, if they met you now, and certainly next year, and they hadn't seen you for 2 or 3 years, they would really be amazed at how much you've grown up, matured, and changed. And it doesn't matter what age you are, because that still is relevant. Now, the two planets, Jupiter and Saturn, are actually going to be finally leaving this part of your chart. Saturn leaves on the 18th and Jupiter leaves on the 20th. Now, they're going to be moving into your second house. And this is the house of finance for you. Possessions, property, accruement. Now, Jupiter could bring a windfall. But Saturn, of course, we know, restricts. So Saturn could be saying, yes, but what's the best thing to do with this windfall? And, you know, I just feel that you might get some lucky breaks when around the time that they actually have this conjunction in your second house in Aquarius, which is the 22nd. So there could be some kind of windfall or some kind of realization of something, or an amazing opportunity that just plops in your lap that you think, this would be really good to invest in. So use your Saturn business mind, Capricorn, and see what you can work with that. Because the Saturn part that is going to be going through this area of your chart for the next 2.5 years is actually going to keep your feet on the ground, keep you structured in your finances, and keep you disciplined about them. So let's see what else is happening for you. Well, we have a full moon, which is going to be in Cancer, but right at the end of the month on the 30th. And this, of course, is in the area of your chart, your 7th house, connected with close one-to-one relationships. Now, I would suspect that if there's someone you've been seeing, or if you're single, then this could be that it moves up a notch. It becomes a little bit more permanent. It can also, the full moons can also mean endings as well. It may be that something in your life, a person that you're close to, it's gone past its sell-by date, and that it's time to agree that it's time to sort of, you know, say farewell and move on. And, you know, this is a good thing in one way, because it does leave the door open for new opportunities to come into your life, because you do have, of course, Uranus sitting down here in your 5th house of romance and parties and celebration and projects and creativity. And Uranus is going to provide all sorts of surprises over the next few years. So I think there's going to be lots of opportunities that will come your way if you are single, to meet somebody that you could have a really good relationship with. If you're in a good relationship already, then I think the full moon is just signalling that it's the end perhaps of one phase of what you've been doing. Maybe you're going to readdress how you kind of go forward, make new plans for what you want to do, you know, in the coming year, especially perhaps around the home, because of course Cancer is about the home and it's about family and loving. But let's also just look at the Christmas season, at the holiday season. How is that going to be for you? Well, I feel it's going to be quite busy, quite hectic. I think you might actually burn the candle at both ends, Capricorn. I think you're going to be letting your hair down a bit. And, you know, with Mars going through your 4th house of home in Aries, I suspect you could also be doing quite a lot of flitting out of your home zone and visiting other people. And as I said, with Uranus, of course, in this sector of your chart to do with fun and creativity and romance, for sure you're going to have an interesting time, I think, over New Year and the Christmas season. So next year for you is going to be, I think, quite different. I think you will have taken the lessons that you've learned from 2020 and really be setting in place some good, firm foundations for where and how you're going to build your empire for the next stage of your life. On that note, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me for your December horoscope. And I'd like to wish you a very happy new year and a happy holiday season. I want to wish you health, wealth, happiness, prosperity, and also to say thank you very much for supporting me and watching me on my YouTube channel. And if you've not subscribed, that would be a lovely, lovely thing for you to do for me. Thank you. If you have, I'm really, really very grateful. Thank you. It actually does mean a lot. And also, if you would like a one-to-one session with me for astro coaching and to find out what's happening for you next year, you can go to my website, which is just at the bottom of the video here. In the meantime, I will see you in the next set of videos for January, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, Capricorn. Hi, Aquarius, and welcome to your astrological overview for the month of December, for the Sun in Aquarius, for the Ascendant in Aquarius, and for the Moon in Aquarius. Okay, well, I'm going to start by asking you some questions, which is, what do you dream about? What do you really want? What are the sort of hopes and wishes that maybe haven't yet manifested, but you'd really like to see them manifest? Now, I ask you these questions because there's quite a lot of activity this month in the part of your chart that governs those ideas and dreams and wishes. And that's your 11th house, which is Sagittarius. Now, the Sun is here, as he always is at this time of year. But Mercury comes into this part of the chart on the 2nd, and Venus also comes into this part of the chart on the 16th. Now, Mercury, I think you will be having some conversations with others about ideas that you've got that you would like to actually set in place. Something perhaps that is a bit of a pipe dream, or something you've been working on for some time, and you're beginning to see that maybe this could be a good time to actually start working with it and initiating it. Now, Venus, I think, is going to bring actually quite good response from people around you. I think they'll be attracted to your ideas and your thoughts. And what's really super exciting is that on the 14th, we have a new moon total solar eclipse here. Now, that is really, really very helpful for you. It may mean, because it's eclipsed, that you have to wait a little bit before these ideas that you've got can actually be put in place. But let's look about actually what the eclipse means, because the sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about higher knowledge and travel. It can be travel of the mind, travel of the soul. It can also be literally physical travel. So there may be some dreams and hopes and wishes you have about that very side of things. But it's a new moon, so it's a new chance, it's a new start. But I think the new start is for these ideas that you've got, these plans that you've got to create and launch something which is dear to your heart. Now, the sun, of course, is masculine, and it's heat, warmth, life, love. It's our soul. It's the very center part of us. Whereas the moon that has just come in front of the sun to block out the light of the sun onto the earth, hence we get the total solar eclipse. The moon is about the feminine. It's about intuition. It's about our gut feeling. And what I feel this means is that because you have a sense that this idea you've got could really take off, you need to really be in touch with this feminine intuitive side of yourself that will tell you the timing. Because sometimes, you know, we can launch things when it's not the right climate. And this is telling me the timing really needs to be right for this. So that sounds really super exciting to me, Aquarius. But let's move on to your 12th house, where you've had the heavy, heavy, heavy big boys for quite a long time now. You've had Pluto in this part of your chart, Capricorn, well, for quite a few years, and he will be here for quite a few years more. But the pressure of the need to transform that Pluto in Capricorn is encouraging you to do will be eased off a bit, because the other two big boys, Saturn and Jupiter, are leaving this area. And they certainly must have put you through your paces over the last few years. And I'm sure some of it was quite difficult and quite challenging, quite tough lessons, because Saturn can be a hard taskmaster. And what he wants is for us to learn these things on an inner level, rather than him having to create an event in the external world that forces us to go within. So hopefully you've paid heed to the lessons of Saturn through this time, so that you can actually be very pleased with yourself for what you have achieved. Now, you're now going to be the host to both Saturn and Jupiter in your sign of Aquarius and your first house. So how is this going to affect you? How's it going to feel? Well, I think Saturn is going to bring a certain seriousness into how people experience you, and a certain maturity, so that they will see that, you know, you probably have been through some tough times, and you've really worked hard with those, and have developed your character in a way that has much more substance now, much more structure. You've built, you now have actually a chance with Saturn in this part of your chance to build a better foundation for the structure of you. And I mean that in a kind of yourself, your psychology. Also, it can be in our physicality, because with Jupiter there, first of all, you need to watch while Jupiter zips through this first house of yours that you don't gain weight, because that can be sometimes an unwanted side effect of Jupiter, who loves to expand. But he is only going to be there for about 2 or 3 months. He's there, I think he's there till about mid-March. Then he dips into Pisces, he comes back, and he moves around a bit. But Saturn and Jupiter are coming together in this huge conjunction, which is really significant, on the 22nd in your first house. Now that is really super exciting for you, because what this is going to do is it's like you feel you've arrived. You can really, I think, congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the back, Aquarius, and think, my goodness, I've really actually come a long way and really done a lot of good stuff for myself and for others. So let's move on a bit and look at what else might be happening for you this month. I mean, let's have a look at the holiday season, because I think we always want to know, is it going to be an interesting Christmas, a busy Christmas? And this year, of course, with all the restrictions and just sort of lack of ability to actually mix and mingle with friends is quite frustrating. Although for you, Aquarius, you're quite cool with space. You quite like to have a little bit of space around you. You're probably very good at doing the 2-meter distancing, you know, back off 2 meters, please. But let's look at Christmas for you. Well, I think there might be some disruptions at home. Maybe you're doing a little bit of home decorating over the Christmas period or the holiday season, so that there may be some sort of stripping down and building up and just some general kind of disruption like that. But I think in general, it'll be a convivial time. It may not be the most exciting Christmas and New Year's of all time, but, you know, we have all got to kind of operate within the limits that we're, you know, having to find ourselves at the moment. So let's just move on a bit to the end of the month, the 30th, when we have a full moon in Cancer, and this is going to be in your 6th house. Now, the 6th house is very much about our day-to-day routine. It's about our colleagues, our co-workers, our employees, and it can also be about our health. And I think because it's a full moon, do you know what I feel this is saying to me? I think it's saying, make sure you take lots of care of you, because sometimes, you know, we can be so busy doing, Aquarius, that we're not being and actually just slowing down, which I think you'll find you'll get a bit with Saturn in your 1st house, and actually just, you know, smelling the proverbial roses, as we say. So I think this full moon is saying, just take some time out, take a breather. Maybe if you can get away for a few days, maybe even do that. But I think it's really important to take care of your inner health and your physical health at this time to really set you up for 2021. I really want to thank you for joining me today, Aquarius, on my YouTube channel. And if you've recently subscribed, thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. If you've not and would like to, I'd really like that too. So thank you if you do. And also, I want to wish you a very, very happy Christmas, holiday season, and Happy New Year, full of health, wealth, happiness, prosperity. And also, if you want to treat yourself to a one-to-one with me for astro coaching, my website address is just here at the bottom of the video. And I'd love to see you. And we can look at what's happening for you in 2021. Thank you, Aquarius, and bye for now. Hi, Pisces, and welcome to your astrological overview for the month of December, for the Sun in Pisces, the Ascendant in Pisces, or for the Moon in Pisces. Let's start by looking at what's happening in your house of career and your sort of public image, because this is your 10th house and it's Sagittarius. And there's quite a lot of activity going on there this month. We have, of course, got the sun there because it's always there at this time of year. And so that brings a kind of a spotlight, if you like, onto the area of your life that is connected with your life purpose, what you want to do, what's your sort of career direction. Now, on the 2nd, Mercury moves from Scorpio into Sagittarius and your 10th house. So I think there's going to be a lot of talking going on, a lot of communication, maybe some job applications if you're not currently employed, or just general chatter, which feels quite exciting because also Venus comes into this sector of your chart on the 16th, and she brings in actually a sort of an abundance of the possibility of financial gain, because she can represent money and finance and possessions. And also that there might be people that are showing an interest in being attracted to the ideas that you're presenting with your particular chosen career. But the really super exciting news around Sagittarius this month for you is we have a new moon, total solar eclipse on the 14th in this area of your chart. So what does this mean? Because new moons are about opportunity. So this is a wonderful opportunity to launch something new. You know, if you've been working on something, sort of, you've got something under wraps that you've been working on and you really want to launch it, this would be really a good time to do it. Any time really from the 14th onwards would be beneficial to get this project off the ground. But let's also look at the symbolism of the sun and the moon and the eclipse, because the sun sheds light on the earth and it brings life and hope and heat and warmth. But the moon, that is the feminine, is moving in between the sun and the earth and blocking out temporarily the light of the sun. Now, the moon is about the intuition. It's about our inner sense, our gut feeling. So I wonder if this is actually saying, if there is some new direction that you want to take your career in, that you really need to listen to that female intuitive side of yourself, that just senses when is the right time to do this. Because, you know, everything in life is about timing. And, you know, we launch something at the wrong time, sort of climatically with what's happening in the world, it can just go flat. So just think carefully. It doesn't mean don't do it this month, but it just means look at all the options and look at the timing. So, but let's now move on to what's going on and what has been going on for a long time, Pisces, in your 11th house. And this is the area of your chart. For you, it's Capricorn. And it's very much about your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, larger groups of people. And you've been playing host in this area of your chart for quite a long time to the big boys, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. Pluto's been there the longest, and he will be there the longest. And he's probably been bringing you some transformational ideas about how you can actually initiate and put into place dreams that you've had and goals that you want to achieve. And Jupiter and Saturn has given you the structure. Saturn has given you an ability to be disciplined about what it is that you're trying to achieve. And he's also enabled you to just pay attention to the details and go slow, even though it will have been frustratingly slow at the moment, because Saturn will hold you back to make sure you're still using that intuitive moon part of the astrology to know when the timing is right for something. Now, Jupiter, of course, is our planet of expansion, of, luck and opportunity. So I think it's not that you haven't not had the opportunities to maybe sort of launch into some new project that you've really wanted to do. But Jupiter can also, because Jupiter expands, it's not always the positive, it can be the negative. This may be that you've had a lot of doubts, that you felt held back and restricted by Saturn and just really not knowing whether you're doing the right thing. Because Pisces, you're ruled by Neptune and you have got Neptune in your first house at the moment. So, sometimes you're just not sure what's real and what's not real. But that is changing. And I think by the 18th, when Saturn finally leaves this sector of your chart and moves into your 12th house of Aquarius, followed swiftly by Jupiter on the 20th, it will just leave Pluto there to bring some, to in a sense, allow the transformation to be on a much grander scale with these dreams that you've got, so that it's going to kind of compartmentalize it a bit more easily for you, so you can see how you can do things for the coming year. And what's going to be super interesting for you is this conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius on the 22nd in your 12th house. So what does this mean? Well, Aquarius is very much about our higher thinking. It's about our connection with the collective, if you like, the collective unconscious. It's also about, the vastness and the dreams of different vibrations and energies. And Saturn is coming into this area to slow you down and give you a bit of grounding, so that when you get a bit carried away with your dreams and ideas, Saturn is coming in and saying, no, just slow down. Let's do the inner work, because I think Saturn really wants you to do the inner work while he's in this part of your chart, because the 12th house is about psychological inner work. It's also about feelings of restriction and feelings, you can feel quite frustrated in this house and that you can't see the wood for the trees. But Saturn is giving you an opportunity to, really look at how you can make this work for you, and maybe do some structured, maybe join an online self-help group to do with, self-development, or seek help from a coach or a counsellor or a therapist to work with things in your psyche that you can't really kind of get hold of. But I want to come back to the fact that Jupiter's going to be here as well. And because Jupiter is conjoining Saturn on the 22nd, Jupiter's going to expand and really bring a sense of, I think you're just going to really feel that your sort of psychic abilities are almost going to be opening up. You're just going to be seeing things very clearly. You're going to be spookily accurate about what you can see. And I think some of it is going to make you feel a little sort of reticent to actually make that in any sense public. And I think you will keep it to yourself. But I think if you can use this energy to see it for yourself in a constructive way, and really use the energy, as I was saying, of that solar eclipse in your 10th house, where the moon is asking you, inviting you to use your intuition. So try and weave all these things together and create a way to work with the energy in a constructive way, helped by Saturn. Now, Saturn is going to be here for approximately 2.5 years. So he's giving you plenty of time to almost rewire your psyche. Whereas Jupiter will dip in and out of your 12th house, but for the first part of his stay here, it'll be here till about the middle of next March. And I think he will bring a lot of awareness and a lot of huge aha moments, but also sometimes a feeling of just wanting to head for the hills and run away. So let's move on to the holiday season for you, Pisces, and just see what's going on here, because I think it's going to be fairly kind of just family oriented, or if you don't have close family, you know, it'll be friend oriented. I think it'll be a peaceful time. I think it'll be a chance for you to recharge your batteries, because I do feel with all these big boys in your 11th house and the energy of what's going to be happening in December in Sagittarius, your 10th house, it's really, really going to be about full on. I think you're just going to want to sit back and just say, let me breathe. But let's just finally come on to the full moon in Cancer, which is going to be in your 5th house. So couldn't find it for a moment, but your 5th house of creativity, children, and, you know, sort of new projects and art, singing, dancing. And I think with the full moon here, it's saying, you know, I think you need to actually bring a bit of that back into your life. You know, there's a part of you that does like to explore this side of your nature, to dance, to sing, to act, and that maybe this full moon is saying, that doesn't have to be over. You can actually do a little bit more of that. On that note, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me for this look at your December astrology on my YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would be super thrilled if you could do it. It would really mean a lot. Lovely Christmas gift. If you have subscribed already, thank you so much. It truly does mean a lot. And also, if you'd like to have a one-to-one with me for astro coaching, my website is just where my finger is hovering here. And on that note, I want to wish you a very happy holiday season, Christmas, New Year, full of love, blessings, prosperity, health, wealth, and happiness. And I'll see you next time. Thank you, Pisces. Bye.